Now, we kind of jokingly talked about the Shane McMahon speculation. His name was brought up in relation to AEW. And we spoke about that in the last podcast. And I said that, you know, if he came into AEW, that I would actually be for it. A lot of fans are adamantly against it. And I understand. I understand everybody that says, Greg, you're an idiot. Shane McMahon in AEW would be a disaster. I'm not even saying you're going to be wrong. Now, a lot of people say if Shane McMahon came in, a lot of people would initially tune in just to see the surrealness of that. And that would be the real forbidden door, Shane coming in. But eventually that would wear off. And Shane McMahon is in his 50s. He wouldn't be a full-time wrestler, but I think he would be a great character. And I see Shane McMahon coming into AEW really no differently than Eric Bischoff coming into WWE in 2002, especially if Shane was affiliated with the Bucks and he was a heel, especially if the Bucks in storyline were the ones that reached out to him. If Shane McMahon was a regular on TV, that might do a little bit for ratings. People can't act like Shane isn't over. You know, Shane got fired by his own father and company for trying to make the Royal Rumble about himself. I understand there are dangers associated with Shane, especially if he has any creative influence. Totally understand that. Last time we saw him, I was there in the building in SoFi, tore his quad in the middle of the match. Snoop Dogg had to bail his ass out. So I know that Shane McMahon coming in, I don't want to see him in the ring throwing those terrible punches. He can't do the Van Damme Terminator anymore. I don't really need to see him in the ring. He can do a match. He can do a bump. I'm sure he'll get in the ring and do something. But in terms of being a regular performer, taking spots away from another talent, even if he came in, I don't see him doing that. If he came in, I see him being a part of this elite storyline and being somebody, a character on television, or maybe an authority figure like Eric Bischoff was. But if he came in, I am not seeing it as big of a negative as everybody else. I think I'm in the minority of that. You do not have to outline why it would be a bad idea. I know why it would be a bad idea. I'm well aware of how AEW operates and Shane McMahon's history. I do not need to be educated on that. I know that. But I still want to see it. Is that weird? There's got to be other people like me out there that fully knows and understands why fans would be a little bit weary of this idea. But don't you still want to see it anyway? Am I the only one that wants to have any fun here? So anyway, Tony Khan, by the way, who did address this last week, said that he's never even met Shane McMahon, addressed it again in an interview with Sports Illustrated this week, where he says, and I quote, "I heard the rumor he might be interested. I've never met Shane, but we have a lot of mutual friends. I have a lot of respect for him as an executive and a professional wrestler. Shane is always welcome in AEW." Well, there you go. Tony Khan's all for it. Shane's always welcome, according to him. It feels like all it's going to take now is a phone call. So when it comes to the Shane McMahon thing, I'm definitely in the minority. I've been looking at everybody's opinions and responses online to this, and it's overwhelmingly negative. And I'm going to be the lone guy out there, probably just me on this little island I'm that John Travolta Pulp Fiction meme, just looking around. I think it's just me that actually wants to see this. And if the Owen Hart Cup wild card turns out to be Hangman Page, and he joins the Elite, and he beats Jeff Jarrett and then wins this whole thing, I could see him going to All In to face Swerve Strickland for the title. You know, Swerve could conceivably continue on past All In, but if you wanted to belt up Hangman and make the Elite super evil and super strong with all of the gold, now you've got guys like Swerve and MJF and Moxley coming after them and chasing that, and that could make for some fun television in the fall when the new season of everything starts, and I think they might be on the cusp of having a fun story. It could be their answer to their version of what the Bloodline is in WWE, only 100 times less good, but it might be something to at least, add a little boost to those ratings that they kind of sorely need right now. And I think if they tried to maybe borrow ideas from the NWO and Austin and McMahon and incorporate that into the Elite, along with the right and the correct baby faces, Mox is a key player in that, I think. He can play the role of Stone Cold. And then you do something wild after the Elite has all that gold, and you fucking add Shane McMahon into the middle of that. You never know. AEW could be on the brink. Fans have always liked that stuff. When Vince brought in Eric Bischoff for the same reason, he brought in an executive behind the scenes guy to be an on-air character, because he was also an on-air character in WCW, and WWE wanted to do business with him because they thought the fans would enjoy it. You can look at the Shane McMahon situation in the same way if you're Tony Khan, just being on TV with that name and the weight that his name carries, being a part of that elite storyline, and the fans really, Shane leaning into the douche bag part of his personality and forming the ultimate douche patrol with these elite members trying to take over. And the elite now, after they attack Tony Khan, they're now on the sick side of the McMahons. I mean, it's as close to the NWO as you could really get, in today's landscape of pro wrestling. So that's why it's me, and I'm in a cult of one. I'm the only person, I think, in the entire wrestling community, online, podcasters, journalists, whoever, that actually kind of wants to see Shane McMahon in AEW. Imagine Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland, and Shane McMahon shows up and helps Hangman Page win. Please don't tell me that you would hate that. I think that would be crazy fun. Crazy fun, man.